Hello,
So
hello.
look at Anita. She said, I'm on time to start the show. Let's go.
She's like, I am
I
here for all
love it.
this.
Jacob Hamill is even in here, even though he wasn't even born when all this shit happened. He said, I haven't seen one of these in a while. Listen, we haven't either. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. We do some talking sheet here. CPJ, oh my gosh. Listen, I cannot tell you how enraged we are,
Oh,
which is why we made this happen. Like
yeah.
the rage is real. But
Yes.
before we get into all that, Jamie, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know that your blood boiled the minute that I sent you this. Hi, Chon. How are you? Thanks for coming on here.
Yeah.
Listen,
I thought you were joking with me, Sandy, when
listen
you
to
first
this.
told me about it.
Wait, when did all this go down? 1994, I believe, 1995. You were
And
still a little baby in your dad's two-bedroom apartment, I'm sure of it.
yeah.
Angie, oh my gosh. Angie, love this girl. She turned me on to a show that I want you guys. I need everybody to watch this show. I, oh my gosh, Angie, I just went blank. It is Lover, Stalker, Killer is the name of this show on Netflix.
Okay.
Jamie, you would enjoy this because no one as twisted as this female, you've never encountered anybody as twisted as this person. You would love the psychology of it.
Okay. Tell me about it again afterwards so I can write it down and take a look for
Listen, I'm not gonna remember. Go on, it's on Say Talk Sheet Facebook page. Bro, I was born. You were not. You are not. How old are you? You're a baby. You're a
it.
baby.
Nothing to be whatever about. It's okay. Excuse me, to be a baby. Pardon me.
No, I wish I was.
Look,
I
it
think
was
it
March
happened in
31st,
95.
1995. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's almost coming up on its anniversary. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
31st
Sandy
anniversary.
messaged me and I was like, whatever, Sandy. I was like, no, mom, you didn't, that's not right. And she was like, bruh. And then she showed me the TikTok, I think is what it was, right?
I would never kid about anything like this. So this is what we're talking about. I feel like everybody that's coming on is on. Angie acts, yes, super twisted. So here's what happened. I'm sitting there minding my own damn business, and all of a sudden, I can't even bear myself to say her name, but I have to say it. All of a sudden, I see Yolanda Saldivar on my screen.
Mhm.
And this bitch says, it's time to set the record straight. Bitch, what you got to set the record straight for? Like what? Like what? You killed Selena. What are we setting straight? Like, and
You were
so
guilty.
that just like flew all over me because what are you trying to do 30 odd something years later? What are you trying to do? I'm gonna tell you this. Nothing that you can tell me, nothing that you will say will change anything of what happened. You can absolutely, in her preview, you guys have got to go watch this. Her preview says, my family's been doing research. There is nothing to research.
Mhm.
There is nothing that you can say to make any of this okay. I remember, let me tell you where I was. We walked in, it was after school. We
Mhm.
get home, and my baby brother is 4 years old. We walk in, my mom's washing something, and she looks over at us and she says, Selena is dead.
Mhm.
The devastation that my little brother felt, like that was like his first heartbreak at 4 years old. She broke his heart.
How old were you,
And
Jacob? 1995,
yeah,
March
yeah.
1995. Tell me real
He
quick.
was probably like 2 months old. Look, Chon, yes, Chon, she is an ass. She's the biggest ass that ever lived. And honestly, I would have, if I was on that on that jury team or whatever's involved, because I'm so passionate about it, because I'm so angry about it to this
Mhm.
day, I would have thrown away the key and she should have been in jail for life.
Forever.
She took a life. Code of Hammurabi, let's bring it back. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so I remember too, like in watching the trailer for the interview, yeah, my blood went like I was all emotions. Like I started crying again. I started remembering the day. I started remembering the feelings. I was angry. There was all those old feelings, and then there are all these new feelings. Like, what in the world are you doing? Like, how in the heck? Like, you thought it's somehow that this was going to be some great event. I don't even know, Sandy. I don't even know. But I saw that. And, for me, I remember, so that was 1995, March. That means I was 14 years old. And I remember after school, it was one of those weird things where, like, so I was in school in Lubbock, and Atkins had a pretty large Hispanic,
Mhm.
uh, you know, class.
Population.
Yes. And so you just saw a lot of the hallways, like it was just like slow walks and then some little tears and then runs and then people crying. And you're like, what is going on here? And I remember when I get outside and you just see waves of kids leaving the school, running to the cars, to the buses. And I was like, what's going on? And I remember my godbrother, he pulled me off to the side and he was like, you didn't hear? Selena's been shot. She's dead. And I was like, shut up. I was like, don't say stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. I was like, whatever, dude. Don't start doing that. And but then more kids were running out and I was just like, what's going on? And I get on the bus, get home, and I'm like shaking, get to the room, turn on the radio, and they're announcing it on all the radio stations, or at least the
I
Mexican
mean,
station.
it was all over because I remember at some point, and we'll talk about it, like
Yeah.
during after she'd shot her, like the news went back then, it went viral on the radio station and it was on every radio station that you could imagine. So, I mean, absolutely. You felt every emotion, like you went from unbelief to distraught to grief to, and even now, like, you hadn't really thought about it, but Selena was 23 years old. That's how old my son is. My son is 23 years old. And to kind of, and to put that, like, to say that out loud, you could just, it was like, it's really shocking. She literally had her whole life ahead of her. So Anita
I mean,
says,
she was
I was
just
in
shining.
my
Like,
mid 20s and on my way back to work from lunch with my coworker, when we heard it on the radio, we were in disbelief. I mean, absolutely. Like, if you didn't know who Selena was, let's just talk about a little bit about Selena. So Selena was a family of five or six, and her parents had owned a restaurant in Lake Jackson. Um, Restaurant went bankrupt, family went bankrupt. But prior to that, while they were in that little restaurant, the kids would get up and sing on stage. And it was Selena y los Dinos. And of course, Selena, she shined bright. And that's kind of what they did as part of the family. So then, of course, they go bankrupt. The dad, Abraham Quintanilla, has this bus or buys this bus, which I remember, I think in the movie they called her Big Bertha, if I remember correctly. But anyway, so basically they took a gamble and decided, hey, we're going to go sing all over the place and see if we can do something of this, because Abraham actually used to be in a band, and his band was called
mhm,
Los Dinos, which
mhm,
is why the name Selena y Los Dinos ended up that's how
being
they
the
named their
group.
band, ended up being the band. But so they went on and they were playing at weddings, they were playing at clubs, anywhere the kids could play. I mean, it kind of, dad was kind of pimping out the kids to make some money. So,
Yeah,
I
it was the
mean, that's
'80s.
how it was. It was the 80s. You could do that. Child labor, no rules.
Yeah,
Everything went right.
I remember it
So,
was a hard time for them because I remember the father talking about how the politics of the time, that was Reaganomics and the whole trickle down effect, and so it was supposed to be this beneficial thing for them, but it ended up being costly for them, and that's why they had to shut down and end up. He thought that you know we could do good as a band, as a music band.
right. And so at some point they ended up living, like, everybody lived in that bus. It wasn't just like their tour bus, it was like their home and stuff. So anyway, so Selena's like um, doing concerts, and all of a sudden, oh, hold on, Nikki says
What up,
Jaime
Nikki?
Pina, because I read that as Jamie, but I'm pretty sure she said Jaime. So
She
there's
did.
that. Welcome to the
Hey,
show, Nikki.
hey, Nikki.
So Selena is at her prime. She is doing a concert, and
Well, so
go
not
ahead.
just the concert. I mean that too, but also okay. What had just happened for Selena too? If for those of you who don't remember, she had been staying in the Tejano stream popularly, right?
Yes.
She was so popular in Texas and in California and Nevada, New Mexico. She was like just really there, but Texas was really where her audience was at, right? Okay.
And just to note real quick, they were of Mexican descent, but they were like second or third generation.
Yes. And so she had just worked her butt off on trying to cross over from Tejano or Mexican music into mainstream pop and basically like really starting there. So she had one of her earliest appearances in an American music video was for the movie, I think it was The Count of Monte Cristo. And that was for the movie, the music video, Brian Adams, and I cannot remember the name right now, but there's a Brian Adams music video, If You Really Love the Woman. And
Oh,
she
I
appears
love that
as one of,
song.
it's a great song. It's really a beautiful song. It has some tones and hints of Mexican background in there. But in the video, Selena is she's one of the dancers. So it's so funny because you're like, she's this huge star in the Mexican culture, in the Spanish music culture. And then here she is, a background dancer in the video, in the music video, right? But
Mhm.
she looks gorgeous. She's great. She's in her it's an old school dress, but she shows up for just like a second or three, something like that. Anyway, so she does that. She just gets through doing her American album, her English album now, Dreaming of You, which is filled with a ton of American English speaking songs. And she's doing duets with artists that are pretty popular and famous. And then her stuff, it just is starting to blow up. So before she dies, there's a single that's on there that is gaining popularity, and it's the main one, Dreaming of You. Dreaming of You. The album's called Dreaming of You. Dreaming of You is the first song released from there. And so she is poised to make one of the greatest crossovers from Spanish speaking into English speaking pop music that
But
hadn't
she
been
didn't speak
seen.
Spanish. Just a note for everybody. She did not speak Spanish. Yeah, she
And
was
watching her old interviews is always funny, right? I'm
yeah.
like, I connect with her so well because she's always trying so hard. And she's like, how do you say that again? And so
Yeah, yeah, she would
they're always,
stumble on her words, which no, whatever, because
yeah,
kind
no,
of,
no.
I think one of the things that they said in the movies, which is always funny, is like you had to be more Mexican than the Mexicans, and you had to be more American than
More,
the Americans, which is
yes,
hilarious to me. I
it
love
is.
that, quote.
And so she has this album drop. It's starting to really, like Gloria Estefan is the last person who really made the biggest jump from Latin to English speaking music. And Gloria Estefan was on I don't want to say Tells, but honestly, the music machine, the music factory, the music machine, I can't remember which one it was, but that was the group for Gloria Estefan. If you remember back in the early days too, it was Gloria
Mhm.
Estefan and the music company, the music machine. I can't remember. But anyway, that group was a Spanish group too. And they were a Spanish version of that group name. And then they ended up dropping the name and just keeping Gloria Stefan and then Gloria at the end, right? Selena, I have no doubt in my mind that was the track she was going to do, but she was going to be bigger, bigger
Right,
than
because she was only 15 years old when she won the Tejano Music Award for the female
that. She
vocalist.
was the
15.
first. She was
Yeah,
the first
because it was
Latin woman.
Tejano is like the male dominated world of Tejano music. It was just
Yes,
a bunch of males.
but the Grammy, she was the first Latin singer to win
Miami Sound
the
Machine.
Latin. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nikki. Yes, she was the first Latin to win the Grammys, not the Latin, just the Latin Grammy, to win a Grammy. The first Latina. That was huge, huge. So all that, she was right there. She was going to be the next big thing in American pop music. My gosh.
And so all that to tell you that at one of these concerts, was when that Yolanda person, that swamp creature, went to one of her concerts and became obsessed. So back in the day, y'all know we had phone books, right? That was
Yeah.
wild. Like you think back now, like how wild is that? You could look up somebody's name and you would see their address and you would see their
Mhm.
phone number. For those of y'all that don't know, this is what it was. So what did this Yolanda creature do? She called Abraham nonstop. So finally, they answered. And she said, "Hey, I would like to be the president of the Selena fan club." And so they're like, "Oh, like there's such a thing." And so they allowed her to be the president of the Selena fan club. So
Mhm.
people would, if you don't know what a fan club is, I don't even know if there's fan clubs now. Does that still exist? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
there.
So people would send in $22, and with that $22, you would have a promise of, we're going to send you this, this, and this for your $22, and then you're in the fan club. So,
These days they're like on YouTube. You get on their YouTube and you become a
like
patron
a
of them.
Patreon type thing, is
Mhm.
that what I was
And
going
you
to say?
get
Okay,
stuff and tiers and but it's still that's pretty much the same thing.
okay. So back in the day, you would mail in your money, your check or your money
Mhm.
order,
Mhm.
and you would become part of this fan club. So she's years into this, and all of a sudden, Abraham's getting these phone calls nonstop, Selena's dad, and saying, "Hey, listen, I paid you $22 and I never got shit back. So what's up with that?" And they're just like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean you never got anything?" And so this is kind of where everything, comes to a head. But because she's not only has she upgraded, she's upgraded to from president of this fan club. Now, and Selena is like her one of her dreams in life was to design clothes. So then with no management, no business experience, this RN, and I don't even know if she was an RN. She was a nurse of some type. I don't know if she went to school for that. But anyway, she all of a sudden is managing a clothing company and she has no experience in it whatsoever.
Let me interject for a minute real
Go for
quick.
it.
So
Yes, absolutely.
in addition to the musical everything musical that's happening for Selena prior to March 31st, 1995. Yes. So she had those dreams. She had opened a boutique in San Antonio or Corpus
Corpus
Christi.
Christi, I think, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
So she opened a boutique. She opened her own line of clothing, her own line of jewelry, her own line of makeup. Like she was,
She was
I
going
mean,
places. She had
was.
things to
And
do.
I remember watching the news, before this, like when her boutique opened, and for months afterwards, that place was wrapped around with people always just going in and buying stuff. And she had taken a hand in everything. Her family, it was a family run business type thing too. She wanted to make sure that she could involve her family and involve her people. And I mean, my
And the
God.
thing is like not only did she like get, I mean, she got in with Selena really good. Like she presented as a person like, "Hey, like you and I are besties."
Mhm.
And she did that with the family. So everybody took a liking to her.
Yes.
One thing I did read is something or heard a podcast. I think Aaron Brockovich did a podcast on her and called her like the Mexican Madonna. Please never ever 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 refer to Selena as the Mexican Madonna
Yeah.
because no,
Mhm.
no, 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 absolutely nothing to do with the other. Madonna in her own right, Selena in her own right. I mean, it
Yes.
is, yeah, no.
Yes.
If you ever listen, if I think she did like a whole special on it,
I remember
that
when you say that now. Yeah. Like, yeah.
like I would never have approved that going on. And
Yeah.
she in that whatever she did, she kept calling her like naive and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if naive had to do anything with it. Oh, Anita said exactly. I hated that comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
And
that comparison at all.
I'll be honest, when I when I think about today's musical sphere and influence, and if I were to say who Selena would have been like today, the closest person I would think of, and I mean this with utmost respect, is Taylor Swift. And I say that not just in the popularity piece, but Taylor Swift is an extremely, extremely smart businesswoman. She is amazingly, like, she controls her empire. She owns her music. She controls the distribution rights. She Nothing gets past her without her approval on that stuff. And that's what I mean. Selena, like, that was her style. She would have had she continued to grow her empire, like, she would have been the most successful businesswoman. That, like, I would look at Taylor today and be like, yeah, she was inspired from Selena. Like, that's what I would have thought, because that's where Selena was going. That's how she was managing her stuff too.
See, and I don't know anything about Taylor Swift, so I cannot say yay or
Yeah,
nay on that. So
she's
I don't know.
a
I mean,
smart
I'm just
business.
now learning who she is, so I can't speak on that.
I'm not a big fan of her music. It's catchy, but I'm not a big fan of it. But I do keep up with her business dealings and stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
the since she was a young woman, she has managed her business, and doesn't anybody let her, run her over or anything like that. So
Gotcha.
I respect her as
So
a businesswoman. So that's what Selena. I 100% believe that's what Selena was going down doing.
so in 1992, Selena marries Chris
That is.
Bettis,
Hmm.
and they continue to perform and to do their successful um, fashion venture. And something that I didn't know, and I'm not sure why. So actually, Selena and so once they find out that Yolanda's doing all this stuff, right? Um, they go to confront her,
Hmm.
and of course, she's in denial. She's like, "What? Like, I would never. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and all this other stuff." So they let her go. But Selena tries to be like friendly about it. Like,
Hmm.
because come to find out, Yolanda still has documents that Selena needs. She has like business registers and different things that they want to get back. And maybe whenever they say about her being naive, maybe they think like, why didn't you hire an attorney to handle this for you? I don't know that. I can't answer that for the
And
family.
my opinion on that, Sandy, is like, you can say anything you want to say after the fact,
After the fact, absolutely.
but Latinos, it's not so just clear, easy, and cut like that, even in the business world. And so, my observations on her and looking in the past, she was really she was about family and really supporting her people and her
Because she
community.
didn't think that her best friend, her friend, she didn't think that
And
she would get done like that.
who would
Yeah.
ever think that? Nothing in my mind would ever let me think Sandy would ever pull a gun on me and do something crazy like that to me.
Yeah,
Never,
absolutely.
never.
Right.
So it's
So,
easy to say from afar
yeah,
all
what
the
you would
good,
do.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we don't know. We don't know. And so for people who do criticize that about her, I'd be like, just sit down, just sit
Yeah,
down.
because we can't say what we would have
Uh,
done. So again, going to that, they met her once and
mhm,
she handed over some documents and she was with Chris at the time. So that was safe, right?
mhm,
And then they go through all of that stuff. And guess what?
mhm.
Not everything that they wanted was in that stack. So you think to yourself, why? Why? What's your defense on that? And this is what I hope that she answers for me. Why did you not turn all of it over?
Mhm.
If you did nothing, if you were innocent, if you didn't take any money, and you could prove that, because here's the deal: they showed her a check made payable to Yolanda, signed by Yolanda, and guess what? When you flip it over, it's endorsed by Yolanda. How do you explain that?
Mm. I mean,
In
it's easy, right? It's
in what way can you tell me this is explaining? And what does she say? She's like, I don't recall that. So I want to know what she has to answer to that,
yeah,
because inquiring minds want to know, if you didn't take the money, if you didn't kill her, what exactly were you doing and why were those three things? And also too, I guess banks didn't check it back then. Like, what's up with that?
yeah. And there's all these rules that have to deal with money and transfer and all these weird things like that, right? And if her name was on there, I mean, she was She was a
Her name
god
was on
darn
there 3
trusted
times.
advisor by Selena, though, is what I'm saying. Like, it would have
Yeah.
been no one would have questioned it because she was given so much power and authority there. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. She had everything. She had access to everything. Like now we have all these like multi-factor authentication stuff. You wouldn't have found that. And you didn't have internet access. So everything was on paper. So when those um oh gosh, the bank statements came in, it was just on a piece of paper and that's how you reconciled it.
mhm.
I don't know if we'll
And who's to
ever
say,
really know how much
right?
money she took, right?
Yeah, unless she tells us this weekend.
Unless the little busy
Um,
tells us.
um,
Please put in the comments who's planning on watching this. And honestly, I shouldn't watch it, but y'all
I'm
know
with
that
you,
I'm
Sandy.
nosy.
I'm with you.
Y'all
I'm with
know that
you.
I'm nosy, and I need to know what this bitch is saying. That's
Look,
why I'm
I
watching it.
had the most troubling time creating the promo. It was so traumatic creating the promo for this video tonight. Like, y'all, I was sitting in the computer here. I was up till 2 in the morning, and like there were like I was in tears, and my heart was aching, and I was just like, I just don't want to put her name on this at all.
I
And I
didn't.
tried various different things. I was using AI to help me. I was like, oh my, and you got if you don't know, like Sandy and Joe, they like I love wordsmithing. I love trying to put
I mean,
things
you're in the
together.
Toastmasters. You're good with words.
And I could not, I couldn't, and it took everything I had to just be like, just spell the dang name, and it ripped. Like, I was ripped. I didn't want to even put her name or Selena's name in the same area. I was like, oh my god, it was very hurtful. It was
No,
very
I
hard.
mean, it brought up memories that you didn't realize that you had.
Mhm.
I remember, of course, this was we didn't know any better. I remember after her death, we went to Mexico, and everywhere you went, there was Selena CDs. Of course, they were all pirated. Like I said, we didn't know any better. We were at 12. How old were we? 13, 14. Anyway, I just remember, like, I remember I bought shirts, I bought CDs. I just wanted so much to always remember her.
Mhm.
And but that was like it was almost like, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, but if you were in the JFK era, that was like our JFK. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That it was like an assassination. But oh look, Chon says, not me. She a bloody killer. She was. She and I guess what's more upsetting than anything is the fact that she has a voice.
Yes.
And I don't know like who gave her that voice, because if I had done something so disgusting, because that's disgusting, I would, and I'm getting out next year. Listen, I'm gonna go silently in the night. I am going to be a hermit in the forest to where nobody knows who I am. I don't exist. But what does she do? She gets out and she wants to do a damn documentary. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Just shut up.
And then her step into the spotlight is this
I want to clear
disgusting.
the air.
Yeah, like, you just needed to be quiet, sit down, and just go
Just
along
go
your business.
away. Just
Like,
go
you
away.
have got me riled up now. And I'm with you, Sandy. I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but then I do. And I hate that I have this conflict now against her. And then I'm like, and I get it. I never met Selena. You know what I mean? Isn't that whatever? But,
We're not related, nothing.
I didn't
But
go to school with
man,
her.
she put out a light. She put out a light. I mean, and I
The
don't know if I've ever
inspiration that
felt so
Selena did
strongly about a
was
human like I do. But
right.
that was life-changing almost for me. So let
Yes.
me answer some questions. Anita said,
Okay.
so they plan to air about her release this weekend. So is she getting out? So Anita, this weekend, she is what I don't know if you guys watch this, the Gypsy Rose speaking from jail. This is exactly what she's doing. But she's not slated to get out until March
2025.
2025. is when she's getting out. But she's speaking out now. So I'm sure and the thing about it is everybody's like, oh, you shouldn't watch this. You shouldn't. Somebody's already gotten paid for this. Someone's
Yeah,
already
yeah,
gotten paid.
yeah.
It's
That's
not
the
based
thing.
on me watching it. It's not based on you watching it. She's already gotten paid for this. So I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to be upset every single minute about it because here's the deal. We've already talked about her confronting her once. They go in there and get the paperwork. And then they have to schedule a second meeting. Okay. So the
Mhm.
second meeting is the final meeting. This second meeting, she tells Chris, I'm going to go meet Yolanda. Chris was like asleep in bed. Why he didn't go with her, I can't remember. But Selena was like, it's no big deal. Like, I'm fine. It's not that big of it. Selena was not scared of her. For whatever reason, she wasn't worried about her. Um, I've read different articles that said that if you went against her for any reason, she would like talk bad about you, like try to get you out of the position that you were in and she wouldn't let like anybody come near Selena. She was very possessive. So, oh, hold on. Chon says she's got all the evidence they were looking for. According to her, she has all this evidence that
Like,
and I don't know. I don't know what evidence she could possibly have. I mean, I lost my train of thought. Not really sure where I was going with it.
um,
But in her court case, she did plead not guilty. But I seriously lost my train of thought.
that's a, so yeah, she's doing a weekend this weekend. I guess that's the other thing. Is it live or no?
I don't think it's live. I think it's a
Okay.
pre-recorded.
All right. So then she's already done this interview, and it's airing this weekend in a three-part
It's a three-part
miniseries
series.
or
So
interview.
Saturday, if you have Oxygen True Crime, and if you want to watch it, it's going to be on Oxygen True Crime, and I think it's at 7 o'clock.
So the first two episodes will run back to back against each other, and then on Sunday night, the third episode or
Mm.
third part of the interview will run. And yeah, you hit it on the head earlier, Sandy, when you were like, the really messed up, infuriating part to this for me too is that she still has a voice.
Yeah.
She still has a voice. She can say whatever she wants to say right now. And the way that the promo goes, it looks like she's going to try to cast some disparaging, opinion on Selena or make it so that
She
we feel something
in
about it
in
negative.
that preview, she's like, "I've got secrets. Selena had secrets. We all have secrets, bitch. We all
Yeah,
do. Some of those we're going to take to the grave. I mean,
right,
honestly, but we're also not shooting our friends in the back either
right.
and then saying it was an accident because that's her whole claim. So Nikki is asking, how could she plead not guilty? Did she think she blacked out or she had temporary insanity? I
That's a good
want
question.
to say that she wanted to plead temporary insanity. So what she claims is that because I think this is kind of something that I read too. So she says that her and Selena argued back and forth and the whole reason she took that gun was that she could kill herself. And when
She said
she
that the gun
pulled
went off by accident on Selena.
yeah, because she was going to kill herself instead of Selena. So what she alleges is that she pulls this gun out. Selena sees the gun. Selena starts running towards the door and the gun goes off and shoots her in the back. I mean, when you have a gunshot to the back, that's not self-defense. That's not I'm shooting myself. Like um how is that like an act? I don't get it. I don't get it. She had like I think it was a revolver that she had. I feel like she had a revolver. Why if
No,
you mean
it was
no harm
38. caliber.
Oh, was it 30? Okay. So why, if you mean no harm to her, if you had no ill will to her,
And she bought the gun.
yeah, she bought it.
She bought it
Mhm.
and took it with her into the hotel. It
Yeah.
wasn't in the car. It wasn't at her
Mhm. It
house.
was in her purse.
It was so
So
yeah.
Anita says,
Going back,
honestly, I'm surprised she's still alive. She's been denied parole. She's gone up before the parole board so many times. She's asked for trial after trial. I think she even like, honestly, if I remember correctly, she like went to school and I want like was like studying and trying to get her like law degree while she was in prison. Pretty sure I heard something. Chon said, no, thank you. I don't want to look at a killer. So Chon's definitely not watching it. Chon does
yeah.
not want to watch that, which I don't
So
blame you.
I'm seeing here March 9th, 1995. Abraham, who's Selena's father, she he confronts
Right.
Yolanda, just the
Mhm.
two of them, and basically told her everything that you said earlier, Sandy. And then 2 days, he said he was going to file a police report on her. 2 days after that conversation, that's when she goes and buys the gun.
Tell me that's
So
not premeditated. What are you buying a gun for? You stole from somebody, they confront you, and then you get pissed. That's about par for the course, honestly. Really, it is.
yeah, she got Selena to give her a second chance. She
She
gave her
did,
a second chance.
which is
Yep.
the second chance that she went to the hotel and she's like, okay, I'll give you the documents
No,
now.
before that, she got a second chance.
Prior, because she'd met with her, like her and Suzette,
So
which is her
after her
sister.
father on March 9th, so between March 9th and March 31st, she gave her another opportunity to do good within the company.
Mhm. No
Selena
way.
wanted to fire her, but then Yolanda made, whatever to make it so that she could give her another chance. And then when she decided, that's when the whole documents pieces came into light. So she had documents that were necessary for Selena to file her taxes. So she couldn't file her taxes without them.
So that makes sense why they were really hard up for those, because she had to
Yeah,
do
it's
her
not good
taxes.
for someone of her status, I guess. Like, well,
Yeah.
everyone needs to file them, but she's in charge of a lot, so I get it. Yeah, so then so weird. So she comes from Texas. She comes to Texas for Monterey. She checked into the Days Inn, calls Selena. Oh my gosh. So okay, they met briefly to discuss the documents, at which time Saldivar told Selena she had been raped on her trip to Mexico.
Yeah, that's a lie.
I didn't know
Nobody
that.
would
I
wanna
missed
rape
that part.
that. That's a lie.
And then man, so the next morning, March 31st,
Mhm.
Selena takes Yolanda to the hospital, and they don't find any signs of sexual assault on her.
'Cause it's a fucking lie.
And so she takes her back to the Days Inn. They argued over the documents again.
So at this at in a couple of things that I read and listened to, she is saying that Selena's, like, calling her, like, a bitch and all. I don't believe that for a second. I don't
I
believe
don't
that.
either. But even if she was,
She deserved it.
no, I don't.
I would
What does that doesn't
I
mean?
would have called her far worse things,
But I don't
honestly.
think. And even if she did, so then it says, okay. So after they argue about it, and she finally gives Selena the documents, Selena turns her back to leave the hotel room, and that's when Yolanda shot her in the back, 2 feet away. They went into her back and came out.
So they're saying had that bullet been, like, millimeters above or below where it hit, like, she wouldn't have bled out like she did. Isn't
So
that
she did say
awful?
that the gun went off accidentally, but there were eyewitnesses. Weird, right? Eyewitnesses that couldn't corroborate that that's what happened at all.
Mhm.
So
So
it says,
after she was
"Quote,
shot, she, like, ran out and ran into the lobby.
yes." So
And
immediately, and she had the gun in her hand. Point. Okay, the fact. Here's what Valdez says. I don't know who Valdez is yet, but quote unquote, the fact that Yolanda Saldivar
Valdez
came
is the attorney.
out. Okay, the fact that Yolanda Saldivar came out of the room immediately after the shooting with a gun in her hand, pointed it at Selena. Okay, so it wasn't in the hotel room; it was outside, and then calling her a bee as Selena was running away. All that indicates an intentional act. If it had been an accident, the reaction would have been completely different.
Absolutely.
So yeah, painted like that, that's not an accident.
But apparently, so like it was like some very high profile lawyers that took this case on for Yolanda. I know that some attorneys like were reached, they reached out to them and they were like, we don't want to be targets of that. So they declined that request to be her attorneys. But some real high profile ones were actually the ones who took this case, which is that I believe it's that Valdez, maybe that was her attorney or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But so another thing that I read too was the um the transcript of the negotiator, which
Mm-hmm.
was
7 hours.
yeah, 7 hours. I think this happened like at one-ish, and then they finally negotiated her out of her vehicle about like nine. So one of the things that I was listening to, so Sergeant Larry Young is who was the negotiator, right? So like they put like this bulky ass phone into the truck to talk to her.
Uh huh.
And so she keeps saying, I'm going to kill myself. She
Yeah.
keeps saying that over and over. And so Larry basically in his negotiation befriends her. And because right now, Selena's her only friend.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying because it's playing on the radio stations that basically Selena's died. So the police officers are trying to reach the radio station and say, hey, shut up, quit saying that she's dead, because Yolanda doesn't know that she's dead when she's holding herself hostage. So Larry is trying to befriend her and trying to get her to just calm down and get out. And so he's like, yes, they're going to kill me. And like, they're like, no, no one's going to hurt you or whatever. And so anyway, so then she befriends this Larry and she's like, Larry, please get Larry. Like she didn't want to talk to anybody at all. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to talk to anybody. And so they have to bring this Larry in, and he's the only one that can interrogate her at this point. And so she tells her, I cannot live with myself because Selena is dead. Um, and so she's like, go get Larry for me. And anyway, so again, I cannot tell you how many times she repeated to her to in this negotiation, in this 9 hour, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to tell you something. An innocent person does not hold themselves hostage. Like, take me in. This gun accidentally went off. I'll walk you through everything. I'm not going to sit there and hold a gun to my head and say, I'm innocent. I'm going to kill myself. That doesn't compute in my brain, a person that is innocent. I don't know how you feel about that, Jamie. I mean, do you feel like that's a possibility?
I mean, it's hard
If something
because
went off, yeah, maybe.
here, it's a hard one because I don't believe in senseless murder or death, and I feel like in this situation, death is an easy way out and leaves so much unfulfilled for so many of us, right? Like we
Right.
all feel impacted by what happened. For her to have been killed, and just to say that lots of people felt that way, Sandy. Lots of people felt, and rightfully so. And I can't say that I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I have this moral thing where I'm just like, no, murder is wrong in all sense of it. But am I going to lose sleep on it also? I don't know. So there, at the time, her original bail was set to $100,000, right?
Right.
And then they increased it to 500,000. But it was because not the district attorney thought that there was a flight risk of her from her because she embezzled so much money, right? But also there was some gangs in Texas who were raising funds for her release so they could put
What?
up bail for her.
What? What are you talking about? Hold on.
Yeah, but not for the reason you think. They were raising those funds to bail her out of jail so they could unalive her.
And so when you say that, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna go quietly into the night.
Right. I don't know that this is gonna win her any points. And what what's to say, she was in a tough situation. She needed to do this for some money for whatever reason, maybe for children. I don't know if she had children or not, but for her children, for
I don't know if
family,
she did.
whatever the case is. But still, like, so one of the at one point, the judge orders a lawyer to represent her because no one wants to represent her. Everyone is like, nope, 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 nope.
No,
So
because they had a target. There was one of the
yes,
attorneys that we'll have a target out for us.
yeah, and so that's what. So this attorney that was one of the attorneys that was court appointed to her. I don't even know how the process went, but he quit or whatever because he was like, one, retaliation from everyone against her puts me on there, like what you just said. And he was like, but also my kids love Selena. He was like, there's no way I can face my kids later in life when they understand more, and for them to look at me and say, you defended Selena's killer. He was like, I can't. He was like, I can't. And so somehow he like I said, quit or removed himself or something like that. But he was like, I can't do it. Yeah, the judge's name was Mike Westergren. Mike Westergren. He had a long time trying to search for an attorney. So she was arraigned on April 3rd, just a few days later, right? Just a few days later. Yeah, her attorney, her original attorney, Paul Rivera. Oh no, an unnamed man. So he didn't even want his name being out there. April 4th, he was like, "Nah, I'm out. Peace." Um, Judge
So
Mike. Go ahead.
Anita says, if she starts blaming Selena, pobrecita de ella, someone will retaliate this time around. I mean, honestly, throughout the years, there has been several, like it kind of cycles. Like I pretty much are like around her death anniversary, her birthday, because her death anniversary is March the 31st. Her birthday is April the 16th. So you'll hear like like it'll spike up a little bit about, oh, wait till she gets out. There's stuff that's always gone around about like they're going to take care of business when she gets out, which is why, again, I feel like this is putting a target on her back as if there wasn't already one on her back. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yeah. I need to read the book on this. All
I
the
know.
background is
I didn't
interesting.
realize that there was like a book on it.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that Aaron Brockovich, which that's a crazy thing. So I went to try to find like podcasts and a bunch of like there's really not a whole lot. Of course, this was in 95, so there's not really a whole lot of stuff that's actually out on her murder. There is if you guys want to look at it, there is it's like selenaforever.com, and it has like her story, it has some transcripts in there, like basically all the court doc testimonies and things are like that on there. What I really wanted to find, because she actually signed off like on her confession, and she had a really hard time trying to sign off because she kept saying, oh well, you didn't put on there that it was an accident, and so she
Mm.
didn't sign off. She didn't like want to sign off on that, which I feel like that's going to be maybe something that she talks about, because her saying that, I told everybody that it was an accident. um I don't know. I'm just kind of, I'm curious, and Saturday can't get here fast enough because I want to know what she has to say.
What are you guys feeling out there? What are some of y'all thinking about the interview? Are you gonna watch it? I know, John, you already answered, but are you gonna watch it? What's gonna help you decide to watch it or not? What are you prepared for? You know,
Um,
like,
so there's 7 lies that she told, okay, that
mhm,
she told during this, all of this stuff, and it was brought up in closing arguments. So the first lie that she told, she said that she was raped by Abraham Quintanilla.
mm,
Okay.
okay.
Second lie, that she cared for terminally ill patients when she was a nurse. She'd actually just become a nurse when she discovered Selena and she wanted to be the president of the fan club. So if I remember correctly, she didn't even have time to be a nurse. Okay. The third lie is that she chaperoned the boutiques, which Selena's boutiques. Um, the fourth lie is that she didn't need that gun. Her dad bought her that gun. The fifth lie was that she was raped in Mexico.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then obviously they did a rape kit, and she didn't have anything wrong with her. And then something about how she received some injuries. And lie number 7, she said that she was not involved in the shooting. And one of my somebody commented on my Facebook page. They said that they actually, and I meant to do this and I never did,
Mm.
but they said that they actually went. There's like a conspiracy theory that Abraham actually had something to do with this. Anybody else heard that? Just to throw that in there because I just not thought about it.
Had something to do with Selena's death?
Yeah, yeah,
Her father?
yeah. There's like a whole conspiracy theory out there, and I meant to watch it and I didn't. Oh, hold on. Let me see what CPJ is saying. CPJ says, I feel like the same. Why is this she even allowed to get out feeling is the same as OJ? Like, what the what? Tell something is wrong with our justice system without telling me there's something wrong with our justice system. Funny that you say OJ because this was probably the biggest trial that Hispanics had ever like attended, watched, participated, more so than anybody in like OJ's, like people watching OJ's. I think it was like comparable, maybe even bigger. Um, with OJ stuff. No, no, no.
So,
She said definitely not comparing the gravity of the impact on a generation as the same as Nicole, just the fact that the obvious killer is getting a chance of freedom. No, no, and totally
yeah.
makes sense.
No, I'm not
No,
feeling like, yeah,
yeah,
I hear you.
no. I mean, because
Um,
that's another rabbit hole to go down. But
so here's the thing is she was actually so she was punishable by either a life sentence with parole eligibility in 30 years or a term of up to 99 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. It took the jury 2 hours and 23 minutes to deliberate. When they found her guilty, she received the maximum sentence of life in prison with parole eligibility in 30 years. So I don't know that she's getting out on parole next year or if she's just eligible for parole next year.
oh, I thought everything said that she was getting out next year.
That's what I thought too. But the site for this information could be not updated. You know what I mean? It could not be including what was now. So let me see here. Keep going. I'm sorry. Let me keep reading.
No, so another thing too that kind of during these um during the closing, so the attorney says, you went and picked out this gun and you pay $100 deposit because Texas law says you can't just go purchase and pick. She has to have a waiting period, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So how does she say that her dad bought it? She goes back to the gun store, she pays her balance, and she picks up the gun. The same day, a letter was found in her purse of resigning, but it was never signed. So she had all these things, So this is like she goes back and she picks it up on the 13th, and then like on the 15th, she takes the gun back, and so there's a lot of stuff here that's it's like complicated. So I still don't understand what she's getting at. Like, what does she have to say for herself? She bought a gun, she took it to the hotel, she shot Selena with it.
Hmm.
What do you have to say about it? What makes you innocent? Anita says, "Oh my gosh, what a bunch of hogwash from I don't believe any of that about Selena's dad. I don't either. I didn't listen to it. That was just a comment that was in my messages, and I meant to look at it before this, but I just didn't have enough time. Um, you know,
Yeah,
it
see, here it says again, she will be eligible for parole on March 30, 2025.
Mhm.
And maybe I don't understand parole 100%, but I just thought that meant like she still has to go before a board.
Like,
She
she
has
has
to,
to go before a board, and they have, and because she's gone up before, she's already asked for several different trials. So I believe that they have to be like, okay, we deem that you are remorseful, that you have learned your lesson. When you're trying to speak out and trying to say that, oh, I have a defense, I don't feel like you have any remorse. I mean, what do you feel about that?
that she say that again.
So, when you go before the board, they have to basically say, yes, she's reformed. Yes, she's remorseful. Yes, she will be a good, productive member of society.
Okay,
But
okay, yeah. Uh, Not to cut you off. I'm sorry.
no, no,
I
go
wasn't
ahead, go
trying to
ahead,
cut
go
you off.
ahead.
I understood now. So
Okay.
I'm reading some stuff, and then when you're talking, I heard it, but it doesn't register
No,
properly.
absolutely, it's
So
fine.
yeah. So here's my thought on that: is okay. My kid can I tell them to clean the room. If they don't clean the
Mhm,
room by Wednesday, they're not going to get to go spend the night with their friends on Friday night, right?
mhm.
Now they can come to me. They can not have it clean, and I was like, and I can be like, okay, I said what was going to happen. I didn't choose to punish you. You chose that punishment when you decided not to have your room clean by Wednesday, like I said. And
Right.
you've known for 3 weeks now, so this wasn't a surprise or a secret. So when Thursday comes around, I'm going to call their friend's parent and be like, sorry, she can't come over. My daughter can come to me and be like, Dad, I cleaned my room. I'm sorry. I won't let it happen again. And da da da. I'm like, I forgive you. You're still not going.
Right.
Your punishment was have it done by Wednesday or no. Now I do care that you are regretful about it and that you did the actions of it, but let's not make a mistake that
But
your
there's still
punishment was
consequences.
there's still consequences.
Mhm.
And so I don't need you to undermine my authority or my parenthood, however way you want to say that. I need you to obey. And if you want, if we're making this transactional, when I tell you by Wednesday and you don't do it by Wednesday, you're the one who tells me that you don't want to go spend the night. So that when you cry or complain about it the next day, you knew what was needed. You knew A plus B was going to equal this, whether that was in trouble or not. So in this sense, it's kind of the same way for me. For me, I feel like, yes, you could be a model citizen to society now. You can be remorseful. You can be all that stuff that you were saying. I could be like, okay, that's great. Doesn't mean I think you should leave prison either, though.
Right. I don't feel like you took a life, and I feel like you have to pay with that with your life. That's
Hmm.
how I feel about it, honestly.
The gravity and I'm not trying to compare people's lives to kind of like what you were saying earlier, CPJ. I'm not trying to compare people's lives. You messed up a lot of people's life. I get that you took one person's life, but the gravity that person had on others was so grand. Like you not only did for you screwed so many of our lives.
And not to mention her future. Like, she had a whole future. She was gonna wanted to have kids, everything that she was gonna do in her career.
Hmm.
Tron, you're saying the same thing. Hope it gets denied and she stayed in prison until she's dead. Amen. Amen, brother. That's exactly how I feel. I wanted to read to you guys the Fred Hagen's, like, his closing, and I feel like this is where her show is gonna go, okay? So he says, you've been paying close attention to the evidence in this case. The one thing we looked from each of you, this he's talking to the jury, was courage, not just promises that you could return a verdict. Courage is what each of you share. Yolanda Saldivar is not guilty of murder. This was a tragic mistake. Yolanda Saldivar suffers from this loss. The state cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt because they did not think that through their tactics. The state did not think about Ranger Garza's testimony saying it was an accident. They brought evidence creating a reasonable doubt because the tape showed Yolanda Saldivar saying, I did not mean to shoot her. I did not mean to do it. So I feel like her whole defense, this evidence that they've discovered, hinges on this closing statement, on her saying that she didn't mean to shoot her. I didn't mean to do it. But the fact of the matter is that you did. You brought a gun to a meeting place and she was defenseless.
So the issue I have with that is there was a maid, right? Maria Norma Martinez. She was the motel maid at the Days Inn. She's the only one to have been to have testified to seeing the shooting.
And so in the closing statements, they said Norma Martinez and Trinidad Espinosa could not see what they saw from where they were standing because of the bushes in a photograph that was not shown to the jury.
Well, so it's looking like on December 22nd, 1995, the Houston Chronicle reported that the lawyers were seeking a retrial because the prosecutors failed to say that witness, Norma Martinez, that she had once been convicted of theft. I don't know how that, but whatever.
She wasn't stealing anything from Yolanda, and she sure as hell wasn't stealing anything from Selena. She had nothing to gain by her testimony and what her statement said.
Yeah. I'm like, and
they're grasping at straws.
Yeah. And you could have done a retrial. There's no doubt in my mind that it still would have been, that the jury still would have found it guilty.
And honestly, too, I don't even know why they didn't move the trial elsewhere.
Well, they did. They moved it.
It wasn't in Corpus?
No, it was in Houston. They moved it to... Give me a second here, because... I want to say it was Houston. I read it somewhere around here, but they did move it. They moved it because they were afraid that... And here's the weird part. They were afraid that because where it originally took place, where they were gonna assign it, there was too many fans, too many people who knew Selena, and they were going to.
That's what I was gonna say. It was like already tainted a jury.
Yeah, it was. So the trial was in Houston.
So listen to this right here. My friend Minnie has said, as a former parole officer, has always said, if there's no remorse and take responsibility, the chances for the parole board to come back and give a person release is 99.9% never. And I don't feel, based on her coming out and speaking out, that she's remorseful. CPJ says she didn't steal a life. Amen. She did not steal a life. I don't feel like she's remorseful. She's been in jail for however long, 30 years, sitting there waiting to get out to tell us exactly what happened. She has been working on a story for years, people, to get to the point to where she's at now, to want to share her side.
It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard because there's this dichotomy within me that's like, I want to look for truth, justice. I want to look for everybody to have their opportunity.
Would want us to look for.
I want her to have her opportunity to tell her story, but in this day and age, and it's so hard to disassociate my emotions from it, right? Because that was a very traumatizing event in my childhood for many of us. Right? It's a shared event for many of us. And so in the fairness that I wish I could have, I find it so difficult within my character to not be one-sided. I'm absolutely one-sided on this.
Absolutely. And if you know anything about Jamie, Jamie was all over the board when we were following the Depp trial.
Yeah.
And we wanted, and we were so one-sided about it. We knew where our loyalty stood. And right now I'm telling you, I know where my loyalty stands. I know where it will stay. I don't give two shits what she has to say, but I want to hear it. I want to hear what she is saying.
That's my challenge right now is trying to figure it, because it's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago, right? And I was telling him how it's a vulnerable moment, how empathetic I am. Okay, I'm strong empath. If you don't know what that means, an empath is someone who feels others' emotions, right? So you ever watch that commercial and it just tugs in your heartstring? You're like, oh, or maybe you have a really severe reaction to it where you're like, I miss their grandma and they're not even real or something like that, right? It's dumb. I totally acknowledge that. Unfortunately, I have that to like the
Nth
highest.
degree.
Yes. Like even today, like I'll listen to a story, I'll listen to a commercial, I'll watch a show, whatever it is. And there are moments where I'm like, I can feel the tears welling up behind my eyes. I can feel the knot in my throat. I can feel my gut just kind of clenching. And then as quickly as it comes, it'll pass. And I'll be like, I just felt this whole range of emotions for like 30 seconds, 90 seconds. And it upsets me because I'm like, I hate being this super emotional being. But it also works like when I walk into a room and it's no one can not have any quote unquote emotional reaction to anything, but I can pick up the energy. I can pick it up and I can feel it. And I usually can hone in on someone and be like, yo, are you okay? Or not that you're the saddest person in the room, but you could be the most excited person in the room. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, what's this all about? So it works all over the place. But in this thing, I cannot, that feeling, it's so hard to override the emotional
It's hard to
aspect.
write 31 years of emotion that we have all dealt with, that we have
Yes.
all had, and what an impact that death made on us.
Right.
Like we just knew that she did it.
I don't
And she
know
did
if
it, and she did it.
I'm not afraid that she's going to reveal something that'll make me
I
see
don't care.
Selena differently.
No, I will
I don't,
never
there's
see
no
her any
way.
different. No.
There's no way.
I'm
Like,
going
I mean,
on the
she might
record
say
to
something
tell
where I'll be
you.
like, okay.
The
So
only thing she could tell me was like, I have proof that Selena touched a kid. And then I'm like,
that would be the instant.
that
That
would
would
be
be
like, oh, I feel
yeah,
differently
yeah.
about her.
And if it was 100% proof,
Yeah,
not,
like if you had all this evidence, like, oh, okay,
yes,
all right then.
yes, that would be possibly the only thing. Outside of that, you could probably tell me she took some money. I kind of like, well, I mean, it was her business.
Yeah,
It's
it's
her
her.
money
I
to
don't
take.
give a shit if she stole from herself. That ain't on.
Uh,
They don't. That ain't on me.
and that's not going to change my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You could tell me she ate, she accepted
She
blood
liked
transfusions before.
pineapples on pizza.
You could tell me she didn't like them, and that wouldn't change my mind about
No,
her.
no.
So I'm like, with that knowledge, I'm like, what am I prepared to listen to? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she's gonna say anything that's gonna make me think differently of Selena.
And
I didn't know her. I wasn't her friend.
no, I
But
did
there's,
know her from Adam.
yeah.
Didn't, no, absolutely. Did I go to her funeral? No. But when I was in high school, I went to her shrine. I sure did
You
go do
did,
that.
really?
I did. I have a picture. I need to find it. I should have, like I said, I didn't have time, but I have a picture sitting next to her, there in Corpus. But I want to, because I'm going to wrap this up because I got to go to bed and
Hold
you
on
guys
real
got
quick. I got a comment over here they're watching us right now. I won't say your
to.
name, but she's watching us. She
Okay.
says, "You're good. I was up to watch Sandy. I'm listening. I loved her music. Didn't know of her until I met my husband, though." So this is a friend. It's funny because her marriage mirrors mine. So she and her husband, their interracial marriage,
Uh-huh.
the same as Dr. Pineapples and I. And
Okay.
so yeah, she so anyway, she was saying, "You're good." I was up to watch Sandy, listening, left her
I
music, and
love it.
I can tell. So let me tell you also about this viewer. I won't say it unless she puts her name in the chat. But looking at the time right now and seeing that she's up watching this, I know she's past her
I
bedtime
know.
right
That's how I
now.
just looked at the time. I was like, we got to go. But
I know you're
I
right.
want to leave you on this note. This is something that's on the record, that's like on tapes.
Mhm.
So after the fatal shooting of Selena, Yolanda sobbed and begged God and her family for forgiveness and repeatedly threatened to kill herself.
Yes.
Then, when she realized she didn't have the courage, she asked police to do the job for her. And the officers testified to this. And so this is on the record. Look at what I did to my best friend. I should kill myself. I did something wrong. I'll never be forgiven my entire life. I should know better. And I did know better. What part of that can you tell me that you are going to take back and say, there's another side to the story?
You know, it just it's so I hate that it makes me so emotional, Sandy, because I'm just like I 100% believe that she is remorseful. I
Oh
100% believe
gosh.
that she is
And you and I are
she
opposite
was
in that. I do
hurt.
not believe that she was remorseful, not one bit.
I believe that she misses her friendship with Selena. I believe that
Of
she
course,
really
because
didn't.
she was close to power, she was close to fame, she was close to money. That's what you're
But
mourning. You're
remember,
not mourning the loss of a friendship.
before all that, she just had her infatuation.
No. Okay, no, no, no,
She
no.
wasn't a
Yeah, yeah,
manager.
you
She
had
wasn't
your
near that power. She wanted to,
she
and
wanted to, and then she
she
got it. And then you stole from her because you wanted what she couldn't have. Why would you
right.
steal from her?
Uh, so I'm not associating those things yet. So I'm just saying, I cutting off all those facts. I believe that she has this piece of her soul that is truly missing, remorseful, sad, hurt, all those things. Unfortunately, none of those things, they don't matter to me. I could care less about those things. It's like you're sad, all those things is because you got caught wrong.
That's what I think she's sad about, because she got
I
caught.
think it's both. I think it's both. I think she's sad. Like Sandy, if God forbid anything ever happened between us, I would miss you tremendously. I would miss our friendship. I would miss our conversations. I would miss the jokes. I would miss the laughs, things like that, right? And
But would you feel bad for shooting me?
that's the thing. So I'm not. I think the from what I know, the little bit I know of the human psyche, you can feel parallel feelings.
I think you
Sometimes
feel
they can
sad for
be
yourself.
no. I think I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I do feel like you can feel sad for yourself. I do also believe that you can feel sad that you don't have that relationship anymore. You could go through this conversations like, but you're the one that took that from yourself. So why would you feel that?
That's where I'm
Right?
at.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's where I'm at.
but from what I understand, there are things in our brains like there's chemicals. There are these things that happen, and our brain does this stuff to. It's just complicated up there. I'm not saying any of that to excuse her because I still feel at the end of the day, she like all of us are responsible for our decisions, and we what am I trying to say? Consequences. We reap the consequences of our actions,
Yeah, there's the cause
even
and
if you're
effect.
remorseful
You
or
caused
not.
a death, you pay for it by being in jail for the
Right.
rest of your
So,
freaking sorry life.
but so even though I feel those things, even though I have I don't have sympathy or remorse for her. I feel like that makes me a terrible human being too. But I also feel like
I
you
don't have
did
it.
this terrible thing.
Yeah.
This terrible thing. I don't I don't know that I'm in the spot where I need to forgive you, because it's not like you took my daughter. It's not like you took my sister. You know what I mean? It's not like you took my mother. You did this to her and to them. I was affected by it, yes, but you didn't really do anything to me. But at the same time, it's like it's one of those situations where you're like, I'm glad I don't have to make a decision on your future or whatever.
Yeah.
But trust me, if I say, if I was though, I don't know that I'd have a positive decision to rule in, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
So
Like for
Carrie
all
says,
this,
does anyone know if she's ever had a brain scan or a mental health diagnosis? Not that I know of. I'm
so
sure she's tried to get it, and
I
maybe we'll
believe
know Saturday.
I do believe, and this is unconfirmed, but I do believe that people who are able to commit murders, I do feel like there is, I won't say it's a mental health issue, but I do feel like their brains are wired a little bit differently than normal. For the same way that I feel like people who commit suicide, that their brains are wired a little bit different too. There's
Dang, Sean.
some weirdness there. I don't believe
Yeah.
one word she says.
Yeah, absolutely. Carrie says, I can break a plate and say I'm sorry. That doesn't mean the plate isn't still broken. She can be remorseful. The plate is still broken.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
100%.
yes.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Like with the kids example earlier, she can be remorseful. I believe that she can convince everyone that she would be a good member of society again, an outstanding member. I believe all those things are they're not mutually exclusive. She can be all those things and still not get parole, which that's where I lean. And I don't hate that about myself, but I'm just like, I'm having a hard time with that.
It's really hard. It's really hard in me trying to walk with the Lord, and then also like, ooh, this
Right.
is how I feel
Yeah.
in my walk with the Lord. I'm not a fan of God's creature. I'm just not. I'm just not.
Right. And there are
Anyway,
those
oh my
relationships.
gosh.
Okay. I'm going to keep
No,
going.
we've gone way too long. I'm so sorry. But so we're gonna watch this, and we're gonna have to come back and talk about it.
Yes.
And if you want to be
Do you
on,
guys want us to come back and talk about it?
yeah,
Yes
if do
or
you
no?
does anybody want to come on and talk with us about it?
Because the next
Because
time we meet on
listen,
here, we'll be hooping and hollering about everything she said. We'll be
we're gonna be
dissecting everything.
taking notes. We're gonna be taking notes, taking
I don't
pictures.
know if I'm gonna take notes, but I'm gonna be an emotional wreck. I promise you that much now, because I'm
Oh,
having
okay.
such a
This
hard
is
time,
why
guys. I'm
CPJ is in
having
my
such
corner.
a
This is
hard
why I
time.
need CPJ at all times. And I think we on this side have to remember that we can have unconditional love without unconditional tolerance.
Mhm.
Yes, I feel better about it. Sandy, he don't want to answer the question.
What question?
I don't know. I don't know what I
Mm.
asked you. But listen,
Oh, let me
Saturday
tell you
we're gonna
this.
watch this.
Okay,
What?
let me tell you this comment that was coming in from the side.
Okay.
They said, "I've been with him for 19 years. He played her music when we were dating, and that's how I learned of her. We've been to San Antonio several times on the river walk, and we have pictures of us standing on the Selena Bridge on the river walk." That's awesome. So this is the person who's
I'm
watching
gonna
us right now.
I think my stuff is in storage, but that those little pictures of us being in Corpus Christi. I mean, that was
Uh-huh.
another powerful moment. Just man, that's where Selena was.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway, all right, guys, I enjoyed it. We've been on hiatus for a while. Maybe we'll try to be back regular, but our schedules are so crazy, and
yes.
we just had to make time for this.
We had to. It was
But
important.
anyway, I appreciate you all so much for coming on. Thank you so much for your commentary. Um, Sean is passionate about it too. She's a blood killer. Sean feels it in his soul like we feel it in our
He doesn't.
soul.
He's not one to mince words either.
So reach out to us if you want to be
Yes.
on the show. It'll
Yeah.
be sometime. It'll absolutely be sometime next week. We won't
Yeah.
let go. We won't let it go very long because it's going to be
Unless I'm just
Saturday and
so
Sunday.
angry about it, I'm like,
Unless we're
I
so
can't
angry,
do
we'll
that.
come in soon. But anyway, guys, enjoyed it so much.
Y'all have a good night, and
Love y'all.
we're going to resume and talk sheet about this later.
Sounds
So
good.
good
Good
night,
night, everybody.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.